Welcome, everybody. My name is Joanne Kroll. I am the Sensible Organizer, and today I'm going to be talking about how long you need to hold on to, receipts, taxes, all of that good stuff. I'm going to give a little shout out to my friend Drew for asking me to talk about this today. Now, typically my answer is ask your accountant or your lawyer, and I should probably add your insurance company to that too as well. But I do have some guidelines for you today, in case you don't have an accountant or a lawyer, or you just want to kind of know what to ask about and, get some general direction. So hopefully you can hear me. My mic is plugged in. It looks like it's on. So we're going to go with it. We're going to roll with it. Someone's here. So if you can hear me, let me know. I'm going to go back to the comments so that I can make sure I see them. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's start with taxes. A lot of people freak out when I say this. I actually tried to find this on the IRS's website, and I couldn't find anything specific. But I've always been of the mindset, I've always learned and been taught that you hold onto your tax returns forever and proof of payment if you owed. Now, a lot of people freak out because they've gotten rid of everything. The old rule used to be 7 years of keeping your tax records and all of that. It's totally fine. The only reason I recommend this is because what happens is the IRS I believe they can go back 3 years to audit you. If they find anything, they can go back more years. It changes all the time, so I don't want to give any specific year out. But what happens if they find something that they don't like, that they may think is fraud, they can go back as long as they want. So, if you're on the up and up, chances are you're fine. Don't worry about it. But the general rule I always say is ask your accountant. And, I give this advice to people all the time. And I've never actually asked my accountant what her thoughts are, because I hold on to everything. Not all of the backup, but I do have my tax returns since I started working many years ago. It's kind of fun to look back and see what you were making and see what the tax returns look like. But I'm an accounting nerd, so there's that, right? Okay, so for, so things that you would keep for taxes, any write-off receipts and all of that. So that backup, generally the rule is keep it for 3 years. But again, ask your accountant, because everybody's situation could be different. If you have a business, they may be looking at stuff. And the reason to hold on to those returns is because if the IRS says we have no record of you filing, they're going to assume you didn't file. But if you can prove to them that you filed with an actual copy of the tax return and maybe a payment or a refund, then you have that. So I'll just go into some specifics. I'm just looking at my notes so I don't forget anything. So bank records, bank accounts. I mean, most banks will hold on to your statements for you. But if you're using them, any of that backup for tax, you want to apply your tax return rule to that. Credit cards. I usually say keep the statement until you reconcile it. If you have any major purchases on there, you may want to keep them because it's another record of the purchase. Or if you're using those for tax, again, follow the tax, time that you're supposed to be keeping things for. Brokerage and investment statements. If you're getting these monthly and quarterly and then yearly, I usually recommend that people keep them for the year until they get their yearly statement. And once that's correct, hold on to that yearly statement. And you want to hold on to that indefinitely, especially as long as you hold any investments. And as far as retirement plans go, it's the same thing. You want to keep all of the annual statements, up until you retire, because you want to have a proof of what you have and what you've put in, and, if you made any distributions. Yeah. And then so for tax backup, generally, yes, you can get rid of all the backup after a certain period of time. And like I said, it's typically 3 to 7 years, but again, ask your accountant. The backup itself, I get rid of. I get rid of that after. For me, my rule is 7 years. Again, I'm going to ask my accountant if she thinks it should be shorter, because that would be nice to get rid of some of that stuff. And then I keep the returns forever. Utility bills, if you're writing off your office and your home, you want to keep those, again, with your tax backup for as long as you need that. But if you're not writing stuff off, a lot of us are getting this stuff digitally now anyways. But if you're not writing stuff off, I usually keep it for a year so I can kind of compare what's going on to make sure there's no like big jumps or, say you have a water bill and all of a sudden it's huge and you find out you have a leak somewhere and you're just wasting water. Or if you go to sell your home, it's kind of nice to show the next homeowners how much your heating costs were for the year. It gives them an idea. And what else? Pay stubs. Most of us don't get those physically anymore, so it's really a non-issue. But I usually say, keep them until you get your W-2. Make sure your W-2 is correct, and then shred those. Don't hold on to those. Medical bills. Keep them as long as you use them as a deduction on your taxes. Other than that, medical records, you may want to most of this is digitally now, so it's really a non-issue, but it's nice for family members to have your access to your records should anything happen to you. What else do we have? Okay, so now let's talk about the things that we need to keep forever. You want to keep marriage licenses, birth and death certificates, any adoption papers, your social security cards, any records of mortgages or loans that you've paid off. So you want to have that form that shows you paid that off. Pension plan documents, your ID cards, your license, obviously, passports, a business license if you have one. If you were in the military, you want to keep your military discharge papers, life insurance policies, wills, and I'll go back to insurance in a second. Wills, living wills, any powers of attorney. If you have any titles to your vehicles, if you own them outright, keep those obviously until you sell the vehicle. And then medical records, again, I talked, you want to keep a history of that, but again, most of that is digitally now, so it's really a non-issue. Going back to insurance, a lot of people hold on to their insurance policies for like their car, their home, and all that. And again, a lot of this is digital now, but you really don't need to keep it once it's been renewed, unless maybe you had a big claim in the former period. But again, that's something you would just ask your insurance company. So that's where I should be adding that. So the important key factors are like if you've gone through a divorce, that's why I say ask your lawyer, because you need to know what kind of records that you should need to keep. So for that. And that's just a basic overview of kind of what you need to keep for paper. It doesn't look like, well, it looks like there's some people here live, but if you have questions, ask now. I'm going to stay for a second. If not, feel free to ask questions down in the comments, and I will come back and return to them at a double. And yeah, this is very timely because I finally re-released my paper and digital kind of get all your stuff under control program. So if you are interested in that, I'm going to put the link to the program directly right in here because a lot of people struggle with this. And as tax time is coming up, this is the time to get things under control. And the link that I'm going to be providing you with is actually 6 months of group coaching with all of my programs. So I'm going to put that in there. I have also put in the comments a link to an IRS article about small businesses, because a lot of my friends are small business owners. So, the IRS is a great resource for knowing what to hold on to, but it can be a lot to read. I mean, I started reading and I was like, but, they reference, hold on to it for this long, unless you... Shoot, I'm still here. What happened? I went black for a second. Interesting. Okay, so ask your accountant, ask your lawyer, talk to your insurance companies, or if you don't know what to ask about, ask me in the comments and we'll talk, we'll chat. Have an awesome day, everybody. Bye.